Hi, Abhishek, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. It's been a long time. I squeezed in a trip between our two videos, it seems.
Yeah.
Almost takes a little bit of a time remembering what we talked about last time. Lucky for us that it came from LinkedIn reviews. So I remember that we talked about context, right? And I think I had a few things in mind this time to talk
Mm-hmm.
about because we
Yeah.
talked about context, and I remember some of the demos that we did, it kept generating so much code, right? And it sort of did a lot of work, so much so that we had to almost like stop sharing the screen or had to have a filler conversation while the code was being generated. Um, and I thought this time we could talk about some sort of a standardization, how to tame our AI, right? How to tame Cursor or how to tame Claude Code. And what I see myself doing a lot is almost every prompt has the same common uh, command in the end that says something like do not code or plan, and then a same suffix which says we care about clean coding practices, variable naming. I have also seen that it has so many comments when it
Yeah.
generates. I say, do not write
Don't add
unnecessary
comment.
comments. Exactly. I also said, do not add emojis in the comments. Uh, I say Yagni because it generates so much code. So I said, generate code as much as I tell you to generate
Yeah.
code, dry, some of these things. Uh, that has almost become every prompt I wanted to remember that, hey, remember, you have to do this.
Yeah.
And I thought, what if we could talk about that today? How do you solve that problem? If there were like 5, 10 common things that you wanted your AI ID or AI tooling to remember?
Yeah. There's actually multiple ways to do it. So the most
Hmm.
simplest one would be just go to your Claude prompt, and you can just hit hash, and as soon as you hit it, it will change to this add to memory. So here, what I usually do is I type don't add comments, and I also add follow clean coding practices, use
Okay.
good names, something very simple. And when you say save, it will give you two options. You can either save it to apply to all projects or just
Hmm.
this one. For this
So,
specific case, if I add it here, it will
no, go
just go
ahead.
ahead and edit it.
Right. So memory, I think, yeah, go ahead. What were you saying, Abhishek?
So the other way is also, if you are starting on a fresh new project, you can also use this init, which kind of creates a new map. Claude automatically looks at the whole context. It will look at how your code runs, how your code is built, and it will create like a how to read me for itself. It will also create like a mini architecture overview and stuff. So this is also a nice idea.
Nice idea. So this is something that I do a lot as well, and you can try it right now, which is do
Yeah.
not do init and write something like do not write code. I just want you to know that when you are writing code, always follow clean coding practices, good naming, no unnecessary comments, something like that.
Clean coding practices. No comments.
Yeah. Now you can keep typing, but one of the things is we don't start a lot of new projects. So this doesn't happen a lot. But
Yeah.
what I do is hit enter
Hmm.
and it will understand it. And then I do init. So I tell it
Okay.
as much as I wanted to, I want to tell it.
Ah.
I don't know if this project has already been created or not. But once you do this and you do slash init, it will not only write things about the project, but it will also add
Hmm.
these extra things, value system that you just
Yeah.
set with it.
Yeah.
Now, I also usually do this, and I also set memory, and memory also adds it to Claude.md. But what I have seen is that as your conversation becomes larger and larger, your memory, just like almost human memory, fades.
Yeah.
So almost, by the 10th or 20th prompt, you see that the comments are back in, or, the functions are very big. There's no single responsibility. So I sort of still try to add it. I wonder if there was, and I can understand maybe we have to do it, but I wonder if there were a more standardized way to do things, right? For instance, one of the common issues that I have seen is also formatting. A lot of
Hmm.
time the formatting is messed up. It's not same as the rest of the project or rest of the team how they're doing formatting when Claude Code generates code, right? And it's exactly like I remember my old days when I started my job. I used to use VSS around that time, and some
VSS
people would
is
use
Visual
Vis
Studio.
Visual Source Code. Oh my God,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
showing my age, is it?
I
Yeah,
didn't even know that.
Visual Source Code. Yeah, it's an old source code management system. So in that, some people would use tabs, some people would use two
Spaces.
spaces, and when you do, all the lines would have
Yeah, red.
red and yellow colors. Yeah, so very hard. And then we'd have to tell those new developers to go to, I think at that time we used VB and Eclipse. Java and
Mm-hmm.
front end was VB, to go and change it, that every time you hit tab, convert it to spaces
Space.
and stuff like that. Yeah. Um, what would you do in a case like that over here? You can't even put it in memory.
Yeah. So for things like those, there are actually multiple ways. The older way, I mean, I say old, but this is still like less than 6 months old, is to simply create a custom command.
Yeah.
So
That's like
here,
your world of AI, right? 6 months ago is like almost 10
yeah,
years ago when I used
yeah.
to do coding. Yeah. Okay.
Uh, so here, like I have added some custom commands of my own, but Claude also itself has its own set of commands. So what we can do, one would be simply set up a command, custom commands, let's say call it slash format or something, and those just live in your Claude directory under the commands folder. But what I would recommend instead, this is something slightly newer, which is, yeah.
But I want to interrupt you. From what I always understood, commands were just prompts, were they not?
Yeah,
Like,
it's nothing but just a simple like a markdown file, but within that you can specify that when I do slash format, take all of the files you have changed and run this command on them.
come on. So maybe Abhishek, what I would do is, now that I think about it, the common things like clean coding principle and single responsibility principle and do not write comments. I can write a command called develop. So I can do slash develop. So it has that common thing
Yeah.
first. And then I can say that let's write this. I
Yep.
think that's a great idea.
Yep.
But that's not a command, like, because we started talking about also formatting. I don't think so that
Mm-hmm.
a prompt would be able to take care of formatting, right? That's still memory we're talking about.
Yep. So there's that all is still like non-deterministic, right?
Hmm.
Whether you talk about commands, whether you talk about memory, the hooks approach that I was saying, it's deterministic. So
Okay.
yeah, what hooks basically does, it gives, think of any other hook, right? Simple get hook. What it does is before certain actions, it will let you execute other custom actions that you specify.
Hmm.
What the people at Anthropic added, this hooks command that lets you basically, you can trigger it with slash hooks as I just did,
Oh, wow.
uh, and what it gives you is a way to hook into Claude's events. So whenever your Claude code is running at different points, it generates different sort of events, and it also gives you a nice docs link. You can go in here and read more. But let's say if we want to target formatting, for example, right? The project that we are on is our Incubite in-house blog, and it has a lot of markdown files, and sometimes people forget to edit those, format those markdown files. So what we will do is we'll hook into the Claude Code's post tool use hook. So post tool use simply, after a tool call is made, you hook into that life cycle. And the next step, after selecting the event where you want to hook into, it will ask you what kind of matcher you want to use. Matcher again is nothing but how you identify which tool you want to hook
Which
it
tool
with.
was?
Yeah, and Claude will give
Okay.
us the configured tools. So you can also see the default ones, some of my global MCP stuff. And for us, since it's formatting, I think write and edit.
Right.
Yeah,
Right tool.
write and
Yeah. Write
edit
and
should
edit
be
your.
good.
Wow. So we now almost, this is the skeleton of how every true Claude tool is configured. Huh? So
Yeah,
now we know that it has task tool, bash tool, glob, grep.
yep,
Wow.
yep. So
Amazing.
I can just do write edit, and it supports regex. You can use single tools, you can use a pattern, all of that is supported. And now this is where you add the actual command that will be triggered on this hook. So Claude recommends using JQ. JQ is nothing but a simple CLI JSON parser. Claude
Hmm.
internally uses JSON for communicating between its processes. So
Hmm.
what we'll do is we'll do whenever write happens, and if it's a markdown file, run prettier. So this is something that I had just copied over from Claude's docs to make this video quicker. But if you read through it, it's a simple Unix pipeline. It looks at a file, it reads a file that's been piped in, gets the file path, reads it. If the file path has a .md at the end, it will run npx prettier write on that file path. So I can now just hit enter and I can save it to my project settings, which means it will be saved to Claude settings.json, and it says that this hook is already configured. I can exit out of this. And now if I go ahead and, okay, this part will have to cut. Okay, so I have saved the hook. If I go in and ask it to, let's say, add a new line to the README, that that we just a simple command to test it out, because
Hmm.
sometimes we might miss the formatting. But that's pretty much all there's to it. Once it finishes editing the file, it will automatically go and
Run the
trigger the
hook.
hook. Yeah.
This is great. So what we did is we configured a hook. When configuring the hook, we said which tool, after which tool call you want your command to execute. So you can literally say that, hey, after every git commit or before every git commit,
Yeah.
build the project, or before every
Yep.
git commit, run the test cases. This is very interesting. So you can
Mm.
actually tell your AI to do something very deterministic before a tool is used or after a tool is used, and only then. And I'm
Yeah.
assuming that your hook can return true or false so that
Yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
doesn't go move forward.
So I'll just quickly just let it edit it, and
Hmm.
it will go in. But what I also wanted to show, I'll pause it for a second. So with hooks, right, I used a very simple example of formatting, but you literally have options of when a session is starting, when a sub agent is starting or stopping. Like if you have created agents for doing like bug investigation or something,
Hmm.
you can add a hook, something as simple as once it is done, go to Jira and create a bug card for it or something. You also have options to execute
Oh,
things.
pre-compact.
Yeah, so this is very
This would be
interesting.
nice. I would just
Yeah,
write down the entire chat history, because one of the
yeah,
things that I've seen is
exactly.
every time I compact, my
It
chat
loses a
history is
lot of
gone.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
so this will be a great way to generate like
Oh.
documentation or even like
Hmm.
a plan, like a running plan, before Claude runs out of the tokens for that session. It will just take everything, put it in a doc, and the next
Hmm.
time, even after it's compacted things, you still know where to get the original
Where
data
to
from.
get data from?
Yeah,
Very nice. I have been doing that manually for such a long time.
yeah, you can try that
You
one.
mentioned agent. What's the difference between, this is something that threw me off as well, because it sounded so much similar. The command and agent, I couldn't find a difference between them.
Yeah, so it's really not. The only benefit that agents provide is that your main Claude agent, like the session that I have running in front of
Hmm.
me, it can actually trigger multiple agents on its own and they can run async. So you can have one main Claude agent, which let's say could be your product manager agent, and
Hmm.
then you have a front end agent, a back end agent, and a QA agent, and you can actually make them work like as a team. It's
Oh,
nothing
really?
different apart from it's just a prompt. It will have access to specific tools that you mention in the agent config, and then it can
Hmm.
run in the background and talk to the main agent and other agents. So it kind of lets you orchestrate Claude sessions in a slightly more challenging way, but the output is also better.
Asynchronous and
Yeah.
parallel. Hmm. Very interesting.
So yeah, it's like really the sky is the limit with this.
Once you know, you could actually almost write a shell script and also execute that from post tool or pre-tool
Yep, yep.
use.
Yeah, so if you have like
Very
a bunch
interesting.
of tasks that need to be executed, like you have to run lint, you have to run test, you have to run, I don't know, maybe some sort of other build command. Simply put all of them in a shell script or a Python file and just execute that from your post edit or pre-edit or whenever.
Wow. Very interesting. Very interesting. I
Uh,
mean, is there
wo-
anything else? So we talked about Claude MD. So you could, of course, save your memory or hash memory, and it still saves in Claude only, and then
Mhm.
hook, and of course, then command, which is your common way of writing a prompt. So if you have a common suffixes or prefixes for your commands, you can use them. And
Mhm.
now agents. Is there anything else that you
This
have used?
actually, yeah,
Yeah.
one more thing that is like a package of this whole thing, and that is
Hmm.
called a plugin. So Claude Code lets you create and share plugins, and
Oh,
what a
really?
plugin is basically, it can be very useful for per team basis, or if it's something general purpose shared on a public repo. But what that lets you do, it lets you package hooks, it lets you package commands, it lets you package agents, like literally all the customizations that you do individually in a project, pulling them into your repo and then pulling them down and saving them. You can actually just
Mm.
create a plugin, and then if you do this plugin, right, you can actually just add a marketplace, which is nothing but a GitHub link. So if you have a published plugin, you just do like your username slash plugin repo name. It will get that plugin and it will show you. You can manually install, uninstall, whatever, and it will not
Wow.
pollute your repos namespace. Like your repo configs will be clean, so it kind of makes sharing a bit easier. But it's just convenience. It's not introducing anything new. It's just giving you an opportunity to share configs between repos and
Between,
across
but what we
orgs.
are saying is, let's say, as a company, Incubite wanted to create a common few commands, also common few agents, maybe a few
Yeah,
memory items. I don't know if it'll work through plugin system or not. But if there were three, four common things that we wanted, we could do that,
yeah,
and then we can share it with all the
publish
team
it.
members,
Yeah,
and they'll add it in the plugin, and they'll all get the same commands. That's also a
yep,
wonderful idea, actually. So, but do you know how it gets installed? Where do they are
yeah.
just
It
cloned
it
in your commands directory, is it?
Yeah, all of that goes into your like this repo. So you have a home level Claude directory, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So within that, you'll see the plugins folder, and whatever you install
Hmm.
just gets put here. And Claude has it in its runtime path. So before
Hmm.
reading your actual prompt, it will actually go through these and make sure the hooks and the commands and everything is registered.
So the actual hook and actual command does not really come to your repository.
Yeah,
Means
yeah,
so you cannot enforce it then. There's no
yeah.
easier way to enforce it then.
For that, I would say just pushing your like creating the commands in the repo directory, track them with Git and push it up. This
Just
is
push
more
them.
useful. Yeah, this is more useful for like across team, across repo collaboration.
Awesome. Great. I think that was a great conversation, Abhishek. I think what we learned was how to introduce standardization in the world of AI, which actually is quite important because when you're writing code, it just goes on, and you want to figure out, hey, what about my programming practices? What about the common standardization practices? And what we talked about it, hey, we could use either memory. We could, of course, memory still adds it in Claude.md file, so we
Yeah,
can just add it to a rules file. We can write our hooks for running more deterministic workflows like formatting your code. We can run agents, which has another thing which they can run parallelly and they can do orchestration between each
yeah.
other. That's awesome.
And
And we
then
can write plugins,
to package it all and share
plugins,
it.
and you can share it with others, which is quite awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. Thanks, Abhishek. It was a great conversation. Talk to you soon then.
yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. I think it went better than I thought.